Hi from Kozmik Nails. I'm Christy. I've got my blank canvas ready to go for the BBB Pride Duo. It includes little polyclay rainbows, a beautiful dip powder, and your choice of 6 different wraps. The great thing about these wrap sheets is you have creative control. You can decide how much, how little to use, and how you want them to be oriented on your nails. Today I'm going to be embedding some polyclay rainbows and using one of the wrap sheets with the dip powder. Equality means everyone. This is a new bottle style that I'm testing out for my liquids. So we'll see how that does. And now, decision time. What wrap shall I choose? I think I'm just going to go ahead and do on my ring finger and then polyclay rainbow the rest. Yeah, I think that's a plan. We'll go with that. Okay, so crap. As you can see, this new bottle likes to seal shut. So what I like to do, screw the lid on slightly and then pop it to the side and then seal it back shut. And whenever you go back to open it, it'll all be put together again. It'll break the seal and get it ready to go. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be using these bottles. I'm going to embed these little rainbows. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some base down. Now these are just my base nails. It's tips with 2 dips of Casper that glow. It's a milk bath that glows purple. But that's just so I can file down, or if I do peel base, I can just pop off down to that layer. This is just a dotting tool with the silicone end, and I put some of that wax stuff you get with the little nail stands on there. And I'm just going to hand place where I want these little rainbows to be directly. This could be directly on your nail. That's what I treat these base nails as, because my nails are genetically just trash. So I'm going to place these along the edge. I'm going to do a fun little side edge thing with these little rainbows. These particular rainbows are very flexible, and they're also solid core colors. So we'll be able to e-file through them and it won't lose any of its color unless you completely just e-file the sucker off. I'm just going to push these down and try to get them as flat as possible. For the most part, I'm just using my finger. If you're worried about getting your fingertips dirty, you can always put your finger in the little plastic baggie like you do with your chunky glitter to help press it down. I'm not particularly worried about that. So basically all it is base, place, press. It'll mold it to your nail. Now, this will not be completely smooth quite yet. This is going to be raised. Just keep pressing, molding. It's not going to be perfect, okay? This is definitely going to be one of those trust the process moments. Okay, I've got the one done, showed you how I did it. Now I'm going to fast forward through the rest, okay? Here we go. After I put my glasses on, of course, because I got to see. Now for some, because of the spacing, they hang off the edge a little bit, so I'm just going to use my little nippers and I'm just going to cut right through those babies, right off the edge. Now, how I'm going to do it is definitely not the only way to do it. You could be very careful and paint all around all those little things, but you know what? Half the time your base is going to dry before you even get all that done. So I'm going to get it all sloppy and wet, and I'm just going to get in there and I'm going to paint the entire thing, even the top, over the top of the rainbows. Okay, after this all cures, we'll file it off. It's going to look atrocious and it's going to be a definite trust the process, okay? Now, for my first dip, I'm going to actually lay it in there and I'm going to press down pretty far because I want to be sure that I get that dip in every little nook and cranny. That way, whenever I do seal it, file it, and all that good stuff, I don't have any holes or weak spots. I'm going to do the same thing to the rest of them. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and dust off. I used my pink brush to dust off, which is the one that I only use for my clear. So I kind of contaminated that a little bit. That'll come into play later. But this is the second dip. Same thing as before. And it's just going to get all chunky. Chunky and thick. But trust the process. I promise. Now this time I decided to go ahead and pour over since I have that good foundation already. Now I'm just going to pour over. Okay, I just finished with 2 dips and, me being me, of course, go big or go home. I decided 3 dips. I really didn't need 3 dips. I just did it to be on the safe side. Since I'm going to file it down, it doesn't really matter. The great thing about equality means everyone is you can file on it. If you were to do this technique with the glitter or anything else, even some solids, it wouldn't work. So definitely test it on a swatch before you try. And here I am contaminating my beautiful clear pink brush yet again. Okay, we're going to close that base up. I'm going to go ahead and activate these right here. I mean, there's some serious thick Mama Jamma nails, so I'm going to do it multiple times. So I'm also going to scrub and get some of that extra stuff off because whenever you use your activator, if there's any extra dust on your brush, eventually your activator will slow down and eventually just quit working. You can definitely tell as I move my nails around just how thick and chunky these are. But don't worry. That's my Kozmik Nails activator. I just didn't put a label on it because, I save the good stuff for y'all. All right, here we go. We've got to let those sit and harden for a little bit. So let's move on to the wrap. Okay, I decided on this one. I'm going to use it on this nail. Now, I'm going to show you how I like to size my wraps. Some people can just cut the oval, do the thing. That's all great. But me, I'm extra and I have to do it my own little way. So here's how I make a template of my nail. I'm going to take this tissue paper and you wrap it around. Just like that. Another great thing you can do, or to make it a little easier, is to use a clothespin to help hold it in place. So I'm going to wrap it around and I'm going to attach it with the clothespin on the bottom, just like that. And it'll also help hold it in place. Whenever you use a pen for this, make sure it's kind of a juicy pen, if that makes sense, because you want it to be able to really write on the tissue paper. And I am just going to outline my nail. That's all I'm going to do. And you'll be able to tell once this is done that it won't look like the same shape of my nail because it's rounded. See here? Watch the magic happen. Bloop. All right, there I go. I have a stencil. Now, of course, I got to take it a step further because I want to use this stencil many more times. So I'm going to cut it out of the tissue paper like so. This definitely doesn't have to be perfect, okay? This is just to help maximize your wrap sheet so you know exactly how much to cut. Some people can just cut the rectangle, cut the oval, and be happy with that. But I'll tessellate them because I've got to, that's just me. So I'm going to trace this onto some thicker cardstock. That way I will have a permanent stencil for whenever I wear these particular tips for the next time. I'm even going to write what it is on it. Yes, I know, I'm weird. I can't help it. And like I said, this doesn't have to be perfect. Perfection is overrated and you'll just drive yourself batshit crazy. Okay, now once I get this all rough cut out, you'll be able to see, not perfect. Now I'll just go ahead and just round those edges out just a little bit more. And then I will adjust the length of it. So now I have this little perfect template and I can just lay it down and cut it right out and it will be perfectly sized every time. Minimal waste. Love it. So I'm just going to mark this with my little pen for my left hand ring finger. So it has an LRF on it. That's all I'm doing. And I keep these in a little Ziploc bag. God, I'm so weird. I've got these things laying around all over the place. Okay, now that I've got the wrap prepped, I'm going to go ahead and file these others down. I'm using the 180 grit sanding bits. I don't want to use anything too rough because I don't want to accidentally dig in too deep to my little rainbows here. So I'm going to go around the edges and then I'm going to start filing off all that extra. What's going to happen is it's all going to even out and eventually all be nice and smooth. So I'll show you how I did my first one on regular speed and then the rest will just be super fast. Now you can see those rainbows are starting to pop up. You can see their color. Since I was doing a demo, I really took my time with this. Usually I would just buzzsaw right through all this, but I wanted to do it right and proper. And so the more comfortable you are with your e-file, definitely the faster this will go. I just took my time. Okay, gonna do some buffing and some filing. And every once in a while you see me hold my thumb real weird. That's because I'm doing something called looking down the dolphin's nose. It really helps with your shape because sometimes your apex might be a little off center to the left or to the right. And this way will really help you get that aligned. Now I'm gonna switch over to a 240 just for the extra super fine detail stuff. Here, I'm just going through and being sure that I've got all the extra dip color off the top of the rainbows. As you can see, that center one has that one piece of little purple foil from the dip. So I'm going to go get rid of that. Okay, instead of doing it the smart way where I would go through and do them all 180 and do the filing and the buffing and go back over them with the 240, for whatever reason, I just decided to do each nail individually, which was another reason this took so long. That even though I trimmed them, the rainbows still kind of hang over the edge a little bit. So I'm going to be sure to file that down real good along the sides. I look down the dolphin nose of all of my nails, and that really helps with your shaping. So if you're ever having a hard time with your shaping and you can't figure out what's going on, look down the barrel of your nail. Okay, we're starting to be able to see the results of all that hard work. Look how smooth that is, nice and line and even. Like I said, trust the process. I keep saying it, but it's the truth. Let's check these babies out. Yep. Smooth as silk. Very nice. Okay, let's clean this mess up and then I'm going to reactivate my nails. I always reactivate anytime I do any filing or buffing. It helps even things out, gets rid of any extra dust, makes everything look beautiful again. Okay, that's all done. Now let's get on to our beautiful wrap. Now, because of the shape of my nails and the length of them, I'm going to use peel base. Yes, I said peel base. So I'm going to put a layer of peel base on. I'm going to let it dry. And then whenever I apply my wrap, it's going to be just slightly tacky and it will help it stay in place. There's a lot of different methods to this, but right now this one is my favorite. I used to use like a rubber base. You can also use base. Okay, now that's all dry. Now on the instructions that I send out, I usually tell you use as you can see, I've got a little bowl of water there ready for the dunking. I'll explain more on that. And this right here is just a nail polish bottle with a little bit of acetone in it. Now, I keep this around just for this reason. I've got a little brush that I'm going to set down in it that I use for the detail work to help seal the edges. I just stick that right in there. Perfect. Ready to go. Saves a lot of time. Okay, so here's my wrap that I cut earlier. Now, with the instructions that I send out that are for beginners, I tell you to use a Q-tip and wet the back of it until you can just start to slide it. But I'm experienced, so I'm going to do what I do. I'm going to dunk it in the water like 99% of people who use them. But the Q-tip thing is for beginners and for people who have difficulty using the wraps or not comfortable with them. So you let that set for just a little bit. Now watch, I'm going to flip this over and show you how easily it slides off. If it's not sliding that easily, then it needs more water. Now for me, I like to place this right at the cuticle line. I slid it off just enough so I've got enough sticky part. This is the hard part whenever you're applying it to yourself. So I'll use my thumb and I'll press it down until I have a nice seal there. Sometimes I have to cheat with my other finger. But as I hold it down, just whip that right out. Now it's applied. I'm going to go down the barrel of the nail, just like that. And then you slowly start pressing the sides down. If you're having difficulty with your decals cracking, you can try using hot water. It will make it a little bit more pliable. But if it's still cracking, then that means you're overworking it. You have to be careful with these. They're very delicate. I'm just going to keep pressing and molding. They have a little bit of stretch to them, so if you get a bubble, you can kind of lift it. The same thing goes with the crease. You can kind of lift it and stretch it out just a little bit. You just have to be careful not to crack the clear coat that's on the top, because then you'll start wearing your color away. Now see? Perfect. Wonderful, wonderful little hack there. Once you have it all in place and you're happy with it, then go back and you can use your little brush with the acetone on it and get any little bits that might be around. And also by doing this, it kind of melts the edges a little bit. You have to be careful though that you don't do too much, because then you're going to start wiping away your color. Your wrap's going to start melting and you're just going to have a whole big mess and you're going to have to do it all over again. The one thing that I wish I would have done before putting on my wrap is dipping 2 layers on that nail. Now I'm going to have to clear cap it so it's the same thickness as everything else. Personally, I like to put it on a fully done nail and then I'll just gel top coat the crap out of it. Since I didn't do that, I'm going to have to put 2 layers of clear dip over the top of it. So now it's clear cap time. Here we go. I've got my clear, my little scrubber brush, and a buffer specifically for this. Now, okay, let's get our base ready. And basically, I mean, you guys know how to encapsulate things. I'm just going to put some base down. Super quick like. See, look, stealthy. And I'm just going to lay it in there. I'm going to let it set for a minute. And here's where I realized that I used the wrong brush, because my purple brush is all full of foily bits and everything else. That's the one I use for glitters, foils, and everything else. But I messed up. We won't talk about that. I've got it all scrubbed and dusted off. Now I'm going to put another layer on. For the clearest clear, you know you got to scrub, and you just scrub, and you scrub, and you scrub. The other thing I like to do is after I'm done encapsulating with the clear, I'll put another layer of base on top. That way if there's any extra large crystals or any bubbles, it'll help get rid of that. And then I'm just going to activate right on top of that. Now I have two different color buffer blocks because I use the orange ones on my colors and all that, and then I use the purple ones strictly on my clear. That way, whenever I'm doing it, I don't get dust from white powders or other colors, foils, glitters mixed in with my clear. Normally, this would have been a super clear application, but whenever I was dusting things, I was using a brush that had all kinds of white dust and particles and whatever else in it because I wasn't paying attention. Now that I've got that all buffed and shaped, I'm going to go through and I'm going to activate, of course, over the top of that because, again, it'll help get rid of any dust particles. It'll bring it all together, brighten the colors, and it'll be ready to go. Okay, mani all done. Now it's time for the top coat. This is Kozmik Nails Hema-free. It is a base and a gel 2-in-1. It does not peel. It's more likely to chip, if anything. So if you're having a real hard time with your gel top coats peeling up on the edges and stuff, try this out. It is awesome sauce. Who's ready for some super shiny nails? I know I am. I'm going to use my favorite cuticle oil. It's from Glitzy Oil Company. My friend Sarah makes it. It's the cashmere. It's left over from the fall release, but it is absolutely my favorite smell. And there we go. All beautiful and done. Now that's how I like to do it. Take what you can, make it your own. You don't have to do exactly how I did it. Have fun.